You got stuff in the chat window now?
Yes, we're recording, and I've put in the chat the list of potential topics.
Yeah, I've not got it again.
I'm
Yeah.
going to suggest again that both you fellas go to the board and start coming up with topics for our talks and posting those there. There are threads there for that. Again, the ideas that you come up with yourself are what are going to lead to the interesting talks, because you're having the interest in it. Something is coming up in your experience, in your life, that is bringing up this topic, and therefore it's going to bring out some interesting discussion. If we just simply keep choosing from the list that I post each week, not much interesting is going to come up, you know? And so, James, I know that you practice day and night. There has to be something that's coming up in your practices and in your life that you would like to talk about in the OBE group, especially as you're still working diligently, toward getting them to happen. There must be certain component parts there that you're curious about, and that would be the most interesting thing to talk about.
For me, I just tend to go. It's me. It's just more energetic with me. I'm getting the sensations when I'm drifting in. It's starting to feel different. But I'm getting more synchronicities with information. Mostly, it's not pertaining to the OBE though. Yeah, it'll be a different conversation just today as well. But I'm kind of going a different direction because there's so much coming in. When I'm doing that, it's more information coming to me about myself and the connections mostly.
That's the one-way flow. And there's nothing wrong with a one-way flow, but you can have a two-way flow right now. Mm-hmm. Just like in the channeling, as the information's coming in, the conscious mind is going out.
Yeah.
It's exploring its unknown, and what's higher is coming into here. This is the mostly unknown and exciting for it. And so to get the two flows going synchronously.
Well, it's been giving me clarity on issues, and that clarity is helping me got more. It's making it easier just to expand and connect up more. It's just a gradual. I can feel it gradually just open up for me, just gradually. But it's a lot of misunderstandings get cleared, and a lot more information just come in, as it just kind of eases me up. So yeah, I've got loads of questions for you later.
A lot more will happen when you start going out, when you let go of your point here. Yeah.
I'm actually went back to my initial experience, my initial awakening experience. The information I received then has come back to me now, and I understand what I got 4 years ago is making more sense. So that's coming in just now for me. It's exciting.
Well, don't leave us guessing. What is it?
What's
coming in?
It's off topic for the OBE though. It's just off topic. That's why I don't speak about it in this one.
Well, give us an idea and let's see if we can branch off.
It was about a grouping, the Christ and the Council of 12, because I got that 4 years ago, and I was reading one of your posts, and you said the exact same thing. And what you were talking about channeling is Nero and Neuro. You got that as well. You got the Christ, you got the 12/1 Council of 12, and I'm going, man, I've got the same thing. I got the same information myself years ago, and I was like, man, I'm questioning it. And I read that today. I was like, wow, and this Casey got the same thing. So I'm just exploring that connection. What that group was. And when I worked with the pendulum, it gave me the same information about my grouping being connected with Jesus the Christ, or the Christ consciousness part. So I've been getting more information about this particular connection. So that's what's coming in.
Yeah, my connection was not necessarily so much with the person that we called Jesus, but with the galactic level consciousness, and
that's
universal consciousness that we call Christ consciousness. Yeah, and in that galactic sphere, it's the Council of 12.
So I've got the same
That was
connection.
so
I'm
funny.
looking at that connection.
I'm like, what a name, the Council of 12.
Yeah.
Well, 12, 12 is very associated with my lifeline,
Uh-huh.
the number 12. Hmm.
Mhm. I get 13. But it's again, it's the one of 12. I've got that umpteen times throughout the years about the 13 and then the 12 of the one. It's kind of similar. I think it's going a kind of similar way into the 12 part. So that's got me curious.
Yeah, I was just being shown the dimensions, the
Mhm.
4 groups of 3.
Mhm.
That's the beta, alpha, theta, delta, and
Right, okay.
dimensions 1, 2, 3 and the beta, dimensions 4, 5, 6 and the alpha, et cetera, et cetera. So you see how that just broke down. They were showing me
Uh,
the terrain. They were showing me the dimensional structure.
well, that's where I'm heading. That's where it's kind of leading me. I'm getting the kind of same lead in there. As parts that will show me the same things. So that's the same direction. I suppose it was a curious coincidence to read you say that those words in there. I think it's about 9 years ago you wrote that. It's to see you writing about
So let me
that.
stay here because this is a place where we can branch off into this. The conscious OBE and meditation, of course, are very associated. Okay, and what we've been discussing right now is information that was coming to me in deep states of meditation and what we would also call deep trance states. And this is associated with the OBE also. You don't just sit in beta in the physical and let all the information come to you in beta. That's not what happens. You almost can't get it in beta. I mean, without really screwing it up to suit your beta structure, you know, as the extra flows of information and energy come into our mind body systems, the brainwave patterns are repatterning,
Wow.
out of that predominant beta into a predominant alpha through predominant thetas and predominant deltas. Okay. And this is the out of body experience. This is the conscious shift. And being able to let go of this field as that's happening and be aware of yourself in another or other fields is the actualizing of that out of body experience. And that's what we're talking about happening. The two flows come in and go out simultaneously. One or the other, sure, in the beginning as you're getting it down, but inevitably both flows go simultaneously. And this is something that can come to you in a practice like Tritak, because as you're gazing, especially when you're using the candle flame, let me say, because as you're gazing at the candle flame, you will begin to see more layers of what's there. You'll see the flame, you'll see the golden glow around the flame, you'll see these streams of light extending off of the flame. And if your vision is very good, you'll see these tiny moving particles within the streams, and they're both at the same time moving out and in toward the flame. And that's us. That's the whole dimensional structure itself right there in the visual representation of the flame. And you can do this on any light source. As the vision expands, you'll begin to see more of what's there and you'll get visual representation as well. Who's practicing Tritak? Yes? Daily? Weekly?
I'm moving in another direction. I've made myself a black mirror, and I was starting to do the black mirror,
Okay, but let's stay on the
not
Tritak.
the candles.
Okay, with the candle flame. Anybody doing that? Okay. How often, Ioana?
Not regularly, but maybe once a month.
Okay. And we already know that a once a month practice is going to what?
Yeah. No, but
No,
it's
no,
when I
enough
remember.
to hold the flow, right? Yeah, things will fall way back and away before you reactualize it again, and it doesn't build
I
very
do
much.
more the gazing in the mirror.
And what happens as the vision expands? How is your range of vision expanding, or is it?
There are a lot of things happening there, so that's what I'm exploring. The last time that happened, so it started with the many faces and with the whole. But last time that happened, there was a complete disappearance of the whole field. There were maybe it was just white and then maybe contours of the things and also some other things going on. So I was not sure, because there was this when I'm staring at myself, I stare in not really to the eyes but somewhere in the middle, and then there was just a complete disappearance of everything.
And what is the experience as this happening? Are you able to feel the shift in energy and the brainwave patterns? Can you feel the environments give way to additional environments, such as the white?
That's happening pretty fast. The only thing is, so it's not like a sudden transition or something like that. I don't feel like it's more like an interest, and it also goes in and out. If I want to fix it, or if I want to look at something, then it goes out and then it goes in again. It's like a pulsating. Sometimes it's pulsating into the white and then more expanded. It's like a tunnel vision, but not a tunnel vision. I don't know how to explain it. It just, there are maybe the eyes and maybe the something that stays physical, but the rest is like disappearing.
Are you logging your practices and your observations? I'm going to suggest don't just practice. Log your practices, log your observations. Always, always.
Yeah,
This is how you, I'll just
didn't.
finish that sentence. This is how you get things to stay in the front of your awareness. Keep everything in the front of your awareness. At a certain point, the experience will build to where you can hold the energy, the information, the experience without having to write it down. But until you get there, and even once you get there, write it down, log it, share it with others. You know, there's always a way to share this as a way of helping other people begin the process as well. It's mostly when they hear something exciting for themselves happening that their interest gets piqued. They want to see if that happens with them too. And so we're encouraging more and more people into the practice of growing, graduating out into more of themselves. Who's logging their practices?
Yes, I noticed that in the last 2 weeks, I can maybe sometimes note something for myself in the morning, and that's it. The most I can get, and it's in my notebook and not in the computer. So this is a strange phenomena for me, because yeah, hello. So yes, but the intention is there to log it in.
Good. Well, as you're sitting there in practice, it honestly doesn't take that much more time before you sit down to have your journal or computer, whatever you're going to log in there. And you simply log the date and you log the time and what the practice is. And then as soon as the practice completes, just scribble a couple quick notes. It's not like you have to be incredibly thorough. Just do something that the next time you go back to that, it's there. And then, if there's time, draft it out in more longhand. You
Yeah,
you don't have to
that's
go
one of
into a
my
lot of detail. Brainwave shifting patterns. Today I actually felt the shift from beta to alpha or whatever. Just anything that was new that stands out in your mind. Any questions? Field turned to white. What is this? Question mark. Uh, You know, whatever it is that comes up.
yes, will do.
Practice is big, and my suggestion for our talk today is practice. Practice and the 90-minute magic point. We've got to delve deeper into our practices. It has to become a regular practice. Is only practice in the beginning, when you're trying to make it happen and trying to create space and time for a practice and all of that. Once it's established, it's just a part of our life. It's what we do when we wake up. It's we don't just go and brush our teeth and comb our hair and jump in the shower and get dressed. We jump in the shower and sit and for a meditation, and then log the meditation and maybe have a cup of tea and contemplate what happened, and it becomes a part of our life. We work it in, and life rearranges itself for us to do this. We don't have to work against life. Let life know what it is that you are wanting, and it will reconstruct. Heaven and earth will move for you. It's not a matter of working against reality and the way things are in the physical construct. It's not. Putting that down.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm in the same, like last week, I'm in the same thing where the so-called real reality just swarms everything, and there are things to do from the morning to till dawn.
I have a question. Which is the priority? Which is fundamental? You or the physical construct?
Me. And
You.
in the same time,
Just let that sink in for just a second longer than you did. We, our consciousness, is the priority to the physical reality. So which is creating which? Are we really in a box that is directing how we lead our life, or are we agreeing to be in that box and play with it?
yeah, I read your article today and I was thinking, I have never seen it like this is me living through the physical life, and the rest is included in the physical life, but it's the other way around. It was always like that. It's just that sometimes all of a sudden it's funny how it is. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to get complicated. Just stop and realize that for that physical reality to exist in your experience, you first have to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let it sink in that you are the priority. You are what is fundamental to the physical construct. And just let it seep in what this means. Who makes the rules? The physical reality or you? If you are the priority, darn straight. So anytime you start to feel trapped in that box, come back to center and realign with who's in charge. Okay, who's first?
Yes.
What's first? What has to come first in order for there to be?
Am I the egg or the chicken?
So we can just say, we can get clear within ourselves what kind of life and what kind of day and days we want to live through the rest of our life. We can design it in our awareness. I want there to be time in the morning for me to focus on bringing forward what I've been helped with in the dream fields. I want there to be time, for my spiritual practices. I would like to shift from, what has been my more mundane work or way of making a living to now the spiritual work. I'm just using my own here as the example. I don't have to fight against the reality to get any of this going. I just have to get clear within my own awareness that this is what I am being most interested in now and guided toward and want to be engaged with. Clear in my awareness and not busy fighting anything else, just clear in my own awareness. And so I need time to do that, because out here it can get real busy and real distracting, right? So once we're clear
Yes,
in our own awareness,
something that
then we begin to let it happen. Yeah, and the shifts
something that's
move.
also happening in the background. Sorry.
What's happening in the background?
There is this difference between okay, so this is it, this is what it is, and then it is what it is, and then leave it through meditation, so meditationally leaving it, or the other way around, just making this reality.
Well, what we're saying is it's all reality, but you are the fundamental reality. And the physical construct is your creation, your reality creation. But the reality creation requires you first to be present in order to create it. And so the 3D physical construct for most people is a box because they're seeing reality the wrong way round. And so you have to flip that perception inside out. You, the creator, first have to be there to create the physical reality experience. And you are creating your physical reality experience. Yes, it is in a constraint system with a rule set. And so you create within those parameters. You can even push the parameters because there is growth. There is a spectrum growth process within that where a lot more is possible than what most people think.
What about other people in our lives pushing their perception? Aren't we fighting against, you're trying to push your reality to be that way, but you get pushback from others around you, pushing their reality. It's a kind of conflict. Doesn't that limit us to what we can do to those around us? Because they're pushing their reality as well.
It does not have to. When we in our own awareness understand this is a free will system and everyone gets their own perception. So their perceptions are not pushed on us so much as we let their perceptions affect us. Again, we are the priority to anything that happens to our own self. So
yes, I think James had a point for me, or also for me, because so when I have my own time and then I meditate and whatever, and then Victor wakes up and he's 10, he cannot make his own breakfast, and then he's hungry, and then of course if he's hungry I have to do something, and then just 2 hours later I'm like, what happened? It's like, oh, you have to do the dishes and you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to prepare, and then he has to go somewhere, and then it's like and then all of a sudden it's evening.
Whose creation is your son? Did your son create himself? Yeah, you created that. Yeah, you put that there. Okay, and so now we just be aware. That's what we wanted. I wanted a boy. I wanted a child. I created that.
Certainly, yes, yes,
And
yes.
so,
And
yeah,
I'm very happy that
I
I can do that for
be
you.
able to undo it. But you created that. And so you work with and within your own creation. So is that really working against you, or is that something you created and put there?
It's not working against me. In the same time, I have to listen also to his physical world that says, I'm hungry and you have to go now and buy something for me because we don't have it in house and whatever.
Right.
And of course, but then it feels like work to arrange his reality and my reality in the same time, like the way I want it in that moment. So it feels hard.
And you created that. As all I'm saying is let it seep in that we are the priory, we are the creators, and we create our life experience. And we create it to be whatever we create it to be. And you can create it to be different.
So what we're doing, we're just setting our intentions. This is what I want my life to go, and it should come to you. It'll modify if you really set the intentions, hold and set the intentions to where we want to go, what we want to experience.
Mm-hmm. I prefer the concept of focus to intention. So we set our own focus, and being able to hold a focus is what we're working on in our practices, because that's the part we're not so really good with yet. Holding our focus. Holding our focus when others are coming at us with very different perceptions of reality, very different expectations, that they want to put onto us and things like this. So being able to hold your point of focus as this is happening is important.
Yeah, it's difficult. I live with my brother, and he's like the complete opposite each other in our minds and how we view things. Completely opposite. Yeah, it's difficult.
You be who you are, and your brother is going to be who he is. And there's no fight in that fundamentally.
So is this a kind of manifestation kind of path sort of thing? Manifesting things.
It's reality creation. Mm-hmm. And holding the awareness of what you and your focus creates here on earth. Anton, we haven't heard from you.
Not a whole lot new to report. Kind of a low energy week here.
You have anything to add to what we've been talking about?
Well, just that, I need to do what you've been saying about documenting my own stuff, more than I do. Because I don't document any of the little stuff, and I do document major events, something striking happens in my life, I'll make a video of it or something, for my, you said that video channel, YouTube channel. And just to reiterate the importance of doing that, of recording something, is I had an experience about a year ago, and I titled the video "Big Buck Phantom Taillights Dash Guide?" Because I had an experience that I knew that even I would discount it in a few weeks. Much less telling anybody else about it, and they would just totally blow it off. I knew that I myself would discount it in a few weeks' time. So what happened? I'm driving along between my two places. I'm on a back road, and like a hypnagogic type, I call it hypnagogic. I know it's the wrong term, but I was telling you how you can see when you close your eyes, you see the mush, the noise. If you open your eyes and you're in a dim room, you still see the mush, but your brain tunes it out normally. Well, within that mush, driving at night, I see two big bright taillights. Not bright though, they're kind of like painted. They're not bright enough to be like taillights. There's two red blotches coming in front of me like taillights. And it got me to slow down. And boom, big buck walks right in front of my car. Huge buck. And it's like, wow, why did I slow down just in time to not hit that buck? Was it my guides? Was it the buck's guides? Was it, I was thinking all different possibilities of all this. But I knew I would discount those red blobs I saw, Well, maybe I did see taillights in distance, maybe this or maybe that, And even when it happened, I stepped on the gas, after the deer went away, of course. Stepped on the gas and tried to forward a couple of hills, make sure there wasn't any car ahead of me. There wasn't any car ahead of me. Long country road, So, I knew I would doubt that experience if I didn't make that video. And hardly anybody watched that video. That doesn't matter. It's there for me to watch it,
I watch your videos.
Well, if you watch Big Buck Phantom,
Anton has a great channel, by the way, if you guys don't realize this, on YouTube. Yeah. Actually, a few of them. Yeah.
But only one pertaining to this stuff, Hidden Observer for this stuff. And I got very few views on on most of my videos, so I appreciate any mercy views you give me. And comments especially, observations.
Yes, I know how that is. But just documenting it, logging it yourself, and then being able to follow the log to see a larger picture. This is the point of the log.
Well, if you watch that video, you'll see I actually recorded it that same night. A lot of us recorded in the dark even because I was just outside talking about it. So I knew if I let that impact fade that night, if I didn't record it that night, I knew by the next morning I'd say, well,
Good to do it while the energy is really there, when the experience is really there, when the mind is really blown still. Yeah.
Maybe it was that, maybe coincidence, ho hum. That's what would have been max. That would have been me the next day, and I wouldn't have written anything down.
It's really important to not doubt. This is what happened. This is my experience of what happened. These are my thoughts, relative to what just happened, period. It's very scientific. It's not about what happened so much as, the experience you had of, a chain of events. And then you log it. And the thing about a daily log is the day that you're actually logging it, it's like standing right up in front of a wall. You don't really see very much because you're right up on it. But then at the end of the week, you go back and you look at a week's worth of events, and that's like standing a little bit back from the wall where you start to see a little bit more of what's there. You can see potential patterns or, combinations of things that are happening together and things like this. And then at the end of the month, you look at it, a much larger pattern. That's like standing a little bit further back from the wall. Now you're really seeing, a wider scope of what's going on. Now, consider that you're doing this now for a year and years, and how much larger the picture actually gets. You can start to really see how often things are happening. It may seem to you in the moment of them happening that it really doesn't happen very much. But once you begin logging, you're like, wow, this is like happening all the time. Yeah, but you don't really see that without the log. That means it doesn't seep in. It doesn't seep into your being. It doesn't seep into your biology. It doesn't seep into the consciousness cells composing your body. And so, your experience of it is very different. But once this does begin to happen, wow, now your experience of reality is very different.
Yeah, well, I've had that experience, reading over dream journals. If you go to dream journals you wrote years ago or whatever, and just looking at a whole bunch of stuff at once over a period of time. And it's amazing how many times, well, that's just like this place, that's just like that dream, and these are kind of in a pattern here,
I love my old dream journals. So much juju, so much magic and wonder, because I was still in the highly curious stage and not really cognizing too much yet at that point. And so it's just all magic and wonder. I go back and I read those and I'm like, darn, I'm glad I made those. Because now it's very different. Now I do have, a level of knowing. Experiences are established now and more, quote, normal for me. And so, read my journals now and they're not as magical as the old journals are. They still will be 10 years down the road where things are much more established and very different from now. I will really enjoy, this, but yeah, sitting on top of it, it doesn't, usually seem like much, just like it didn't seem like much when I was writing to begin with 10 years ago. I mean, writing openly, publicly for everyone. So you'll be glad you did it. And it will show you, man, it's just amazing what it shows you. When you go back and look those over, just when you think, life is getting too mundane and that there's not really anything meaningful going on, and you go back and you read those and you get that energy back. Yeah, so you from the past are giving you now energy here in a future moment. And things like that are really important too. That really starts to teach us about how time works and how the past affects the future and the future affects the past, and how all moments can actually be happening co-simultaneously. This is really clear when I go back and watch the videos. I'm watching a video from myself 10 years ago in time, talking to myself at this moment here in time, and it's a weird sensation. So it's a fun sensation. But that really gets the mind, opening up to how time works. And so there's more involved in this than what you might think. It's a lot bigger than what you might think. And this is why sharing openly, in the public with others is also really important. How does anything become real or reality or established in our reality system? It just keeps getting put there. You just keep putting it there and it develops a stability. Was money always there? The money system as it exists now always there? No. Somebody put the idea there and then they just kept putting the idea there until it was steadily, established and in place. And we do the same thing. It's not that we don't or can't affect reality, it's that we generally don't. We don't keep putting it there. Yeah. So practice, the main practice, meditation, the main purpose of meditation, attention, focus, holding focus, holding a point of focus. It's immovable, it's immutable, it's always there. And now other people being who they are does not push against us.
Yeah, I kind of had a thought on it's kind of a sidetrack, but when you're out in the public on your day-to-day, doing chores or whatever, it's more and more important to me that I resist reacting negatively to things I see,
Mm-hmm.
and I catch myself when I do react negatively to something.
And what?
Say, well,
and what do you do when you catch yourself?
I notice and let go. But
Gotcha.
I notice and let go. That's been my big theme for the last 5 years, more or less.
You change the energy, right? Change the energy. Yeah.
But you notice what you're doing and then let it go. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. If you notice that, and this was something really came from Bert Harding's talks when he had his SATS thing going a few years ago. And it was one of his students, just described it, and it's really made an impression on me there. If you observe it, you observe what you're doing, the negative thing you're doing, and then just let it go. It'll self-correct on its own, because if you see that you're beating yourself, you'll stop beating yourself, is the way he put it better than that. But, if you're...
No, that's perfect. No, noticing, observation. This is what we failed to do. Practice is nothing without your practical observations. So the whole idea of practice is to notice, is to make observation.
So I need to do more of the recording. I need to do more voice recording, or make more videos, or even start typing more in.
And not just on your own, but in a group setting and environment. And so please join us, Anton. On the forum message boards, we have different groups for different things going now. There's the collective dream thread. We've started a new one where we're logging our repeating dreams, repeating themes, repeating patterns. We may include life with this also at a certain point. Let it get going, but that one's just about repeating patterns, repeating dreams, dream themes, etc. And so doing things in groups is important at this point. It cannot any longer just be us on our own. We're linking in with others now. So both do your own thing, your own videos and your own interests, but also link them in collectively with other groups. Free open space on the forum boards to start doing that with each other amongst ourselves, which is kind of easy because we're all meeting here as a group. So we're meeting there also, except for we're logging and talking about a whole lot more than we have time to in a 2-hour time frame here.
Is anybody else out trying to get to see things in the universe, lights or craft? Because I had a little shot and I was out with the boys last weekend and it flashed me again, but just a little. I just see if anybody else is out doing that, seem to get some visual out of the at
See,
night time
are
in the
you asking
universe.
if there's other CE5 groups in our group?
Not so much CE5, just people out doing that in general. Not particularly CE5, but that would be a part of it. Just to see if you're out there actually pulling any
Skywatch.
visuals.
CE5 is just a skywatch.
The Skywatch, yeah, right.
Is that
Well,
what
that's
you
what I'll be
mean?
asking
Going
then. Yeah.
outside, looking up into the sky? I'm trying to get clear, James. You're leaving out a lot of information.
Yeah, just going into the universe and asking for a visual or a response. That's what I was doing that last time. I managed to go out and asked it to show me something, and
Right. I'm just not understanding whether you're sitting in your room and just asking the universe, or you're going outside and looking at the sky.
I'm going outside at night time, looking up at the universe, the actual universe in itself, and asking for visual or asking for a sign or a craft. And it's responded every time I've done it.
Every time.
Every time, yeah.
Every
I
time.
get a little,
I've never done it and not gotten a reply.
yeah. I was wondering if anybody else was out trying to do that. If anybody else is, we might
So why
start a
don't you
thread on
start a
that.
skywatch? Start a skywatch. Go onto the forum message board. Start the thread. Start a skywatch.
Yeah.
See if we can.
That's what I was asking if you.
We can take our cameras outside and we can show each other. I mean, that's what this is all about. Just linking our experiences together.
You know, I've had that experience where I stared at the sky for hours, you know, and particular stars, you know, just stared at them, and I've got them to wink it and stuff, you know, and there's no way in physics that can be true, you know, because even the time delay of me thinking it and them sending a wink, so the time is wrong, you know, that it wouldn't work. But some, you know, of course, something else could be going on, but
No, it's
my conscious mind usually shuts it down. Basically, you know, it's like, no.
it's the same for me. As soon as I say it, could you do something, and immediately something will happen. Not something big, but something will happen. As soon as I say it, it happens. It's done it umpteen times now, so it kind of goes beyond coincidence. And one time, looking at the stars, just looking at a group of stars, and one suddenly moved and took off and just went straight away. And I thought, what? Did I just see that? Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I've seen it myself. It happens. Just staring at it, and something will go on. It's quite cool. Yeah, I'll start a thread on that. Then I'll do a thread on the Skywatch, and then.
So how about we start a collective practice thread on the forum message boards, where every day we'll pop in with something we practiced that day.
Yeah.
Which has you going outside, looking up, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just whatever the practice happens to be. And I know you do a lot of practices, James, and so like you would just log one of them, the one that stood out the most to you. That seems like a good idea, because this is what we're lacking: practice, regularity in practice, logging the practices.
I don't know what I would have done this last week, though. Really, nothing came to me, and I've been just low energy the whole week and most of the week.
Well, then devise a practice. Every morning when I wake up, the very first thing I'm going to do is take 3 conscious breaths. And then before you wake up each morning, do that. And that's your practice. Okay. And then you'll notice over a period of time that this begins to have an effect on how you start your day and how the day went. And, you know, the practice will evolve, because you'll be seeing that, wow, this little tiny thing has this big, huge kerpow effect. How we start our day is perhaps, you know, where the practice begins. And when a practice begins, at the moment we start our day, that will dictate in a very large sense how that day goes. Yes, we wake up out of the wrong side of the bed or the right side of the bed, right? How's the day going to go? How much are you going to give to yourself? You know, a lot of us think we don't have any time for ourselves, but it's that thought that's creating the experience of there not being any time for ourselves. And so, yes, we need to be able to focus. We need to be able to catch these thoughts, and we need to be intelligent enough to know that how we start each day is important. And what we do in each day is important. And the way we let ourselves experience the things that happen in each day is important. Like Anton said, catching himself when he's bringing in the negative energies in order to experience something that is happening. Noticing, look at what I'm doing. Yeah, self-correct. Bring back in the energies that are more aligned with our natural being and experience in that way again. All of this is important. Can't just keep pushing these things off. I mean, we can, but then we meet here each week, and there's nothing that has happened. We haven't done the practice. We haven't logged the practice. We haven't made observation. We have brought nothing to share with one another and the world. And it's, we can do that. But the people that we're going to help are going to be nominal. The views are going to be nominal. Let's make this experiment. Let's do an experiment. This week, we are going to do the practice. We're going to log the practice. We're going to make our observations. We're going to bring them to the next meeting, and we're going to see how many people view that video as opposed to these videos, where we're not doing the practice, not making the logs, not making the observations, and not bringing anything to share. Are you game for doing that experiment? Are you all available to be here next Wednesday at this time? Are you game for doing the experiment? Yeah, I think this will be fun. I think it'll blow your mind.
I'm really annoyed because I started doing the working with the sun, and I had a great weekend, 2 good days sitting with it in the speed of my son, and that happened, and then it's rained for 3 days non-stop.
Okay, now I need you to get creative, James. I need you to get creative because you are living in an area of the world where the sun is, not always out. And so now get creative, James. The sun, how can you make the sun on a cloudy, rainy day?
Just imagine it, just to have it in visuals.
That's one way. And now you can.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Right? I can feel the heat and stuff. I can do that. That works just the same then if I just hold it in the visual.
It does, if you can hold the focus. However, I would make it more physical, more tangible. So what's something in your physical space that is like the sun?
A light.
Light. Yep. Yeah. And what would be even better than maybe one that was up there on the roof? Maybe one that was like a table lamp that you just aim at yourself. Yeah, and then close your eyes and gaze into it. The light will impact you. And so, yes, I need you to get creative. And you can even write the word sun and put it onto that lamp. You can even make a picture of a sun and do this with your sons. Let's keep making it more and more, a sun. Yeah, and then put that picture on the lamp that you're going to use to, and so you just get creative. You can do this practice every day. Does it have to be the actual sun? No, not if it's not there. How am I going to make it be there, for a practice if it's not? Get creative.
So I can still get it. When the times I open again, I stared at the sun. I can still, when I close my eyes, see it glittering and shaking in my head. If I sit and do that, I can feel the heat.
You can use a candle also, because a candle, emanates the heat. Okay, and so there's a lot of things you can. To talk is on a candle flame is the precursor to the sun gazing, and so you could just go to the candle flame, So and that still is sun gazing. You just insert that in your awareness, into the practice. Okay.
That's a bit of clarity. That's a bit of clarity. At least I know that that'll work, because I thought it had to be the actual sun sitting in the sun, but I don't get it much.
So never a reason to not have the practice. Never.
Okay.
Yeah. And so let's meet on the boards. We'll do this as an experiment out on the open so other people can watch it, and even partake in it. And we'll devise what we think our practices might be for that week. We'll start the thread about practices and we'll log at least one of our practices each day there. We need to hold it in our awareness. Okay. The more we can hold the focus for the whole week, when we get here, it's going to be that much more powerful, that much more potent, that much more in the front of our awareness. Yes, Ivana.
I might not be there because I have to be somewhere very far in the afternoon. So I will try to be anyway, not on time. I don't think so, but I will try to be here.
On Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. And if you can't be here live, you want to go, well, first create the situation in which it's most probable that you will. So this is one way to devise that. And two, create a backup so that if you're not here, somebody else that sees our experiment shows up in your place.
Okay.
We have a pretty good 50-50, male-female ratio here with the four of us. Sort of holds a nice balance. So yeah, not that you have to do those things, but that's an idea maybe for it. Okay, practice in the 90-minute magic point. What is this? Anton, some of your practices are spiritual, but more physical, like when you go out canoeing, or maybe you're out on a long drive. Have you ever been, distance driving, and that 90-minute point in which you're into the drive?
Yeah, I can't say I'll have to keep that in focus, this 90 minutes. I'm often doing my short mantra technique, when I'm driving or when I'm doing something, even canoeing, I might be doing a few mantras here and there. But where was I going with that?
You've not hit that 90-minute point before?
Oh, yeah, because a lot of times at night, if I can't sleep, I'm basically, laying on my back, looking at my inner vision, that can easily go 90 minutes and more. But it's not like I've really had a 90-minute point stick out to me that,
One of the
really
easiest ways to see this happen, if you're not a sadhaka, if you're not somebody who does spiritual disciplines daily, who's very in a disciplined format, practicing for a particular purpose every day. So just for regular people, one of the, and I'm going to say regular people that go out of body, lucid dream, do dream work. One of the easiest ways to see this is when you're waking up in the morning and you say, okay, I'm not going to get up out of the bed until I've brought forward some dream content. And you notice that like half an hour and, nothing's happening, an hour, nothing's happening. But at that 90-minute point, all of a sudden it's really easy. Everything's coming through. You can just be there and stay still long enough. It starts coming, and it usually starts coming at that 90-minute point. There's something about that, actually 60 to 90 minute, but 90-minute for sure, because sometimes at an hour it's still not happening. But at 90 minutes, it's always happening, and it always starts. It's like kerboom. So if you can just make it to that 90 minutes, there everything is.
because I've easily spent that long, staring at my inner screens, but I guess at some point I kind of blot out, not really doing anything active at that point.
Yeah, I don't want to suggest it for ourselves this week to dive into that idea. If it's something that naturally arises that you seem to have time for, and the curiosity comes up, oh, okay, I'm going to do this right now and see if what happens at 90 minutes, then do it. But we have a lot going with the experiment and just logging practices in general to add this to it for this week. But yeah, just in the scheme of things, start paying attention to this. Devise a practice that you are actually going to engage yourself in for a 90-minute minimum time frame. This is sort of a natural part of my life. I have never worked it out of my life. At the moment, this is taking effect each morning as I'm bringing the dream fields back into my conscious state of awareness between 6 and 9 a.m. I'm able to do this on the days that I don't work. On the days that I do, I have to be up by 6 o'clock, so I can't do this. But on the days that I don't, yeah, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., which is a 9-hour time frame, because I like the 3-hour practices. I can 3-hour meditate, 3-hour shavasana, 3-hour, out of body experience. So the long practices I adore. But yeah, at the 90-minute mark, it's just a magic point. It's like where the magic starts to happen. If it doesn't start immediately happening, always at that 90-minute point, it does. So if you can hold a focus, get to the point where you can hold a focus, you can always have an experience.
Yeah, I've never tried that long to recall a dream, that's for sure. I get frustrated after about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
No, don't get frustrated, because you can always just fall asleep and drift back, and fall in and drift back. Once you're ready to get up, at 6 o'clock, I'm already getting up, using the bathroom, the families. I may close the door, because now I'm going to deliberately hold that alpha state while I do the dream work. But I mean, you're laying down. I'm going to use me. I'm laying down. I'm in my favorite place. Bed has always been my favorite place. Horizontal has always been my favorite position. I'm happy as a clam. I have my little cozies and my pillows, although I don't use them anymore. They're always in the bed because I like the idea of a pillow. My crystals are in there with me. I'm happy as a clam. I mean, how most people would get up and need to do something, I'm doing something, and I'm in my favorite place doing it. So I'm, again, happy as a clam. I don't have to go anywhere other than where I'm going to go in awareness. There is so much happening. There's no way you can get, if you can hold a point of focus. The only way nothing is happening is if you're not holding a point of focus. So the first phase of the process would be, getting to the point where you're holding a focus, holding your attention right there at the brow, not letting it move. Holding your attention right there at the brow, consciously being aware of the fact that you're breathing, consciously watching the movement your body makes as it breathes. Now, this feels good. There's nothing better. There's nothing that feels better than this. And so there's no reason to get frustrated. Even if this is all that's happening, it's quite a lot. The body is relaxing. You can travel through the body. You can relax and work on the body if nothing else is happening. It's not like you can only do one thing at a time. There's a lot happening all at once. And the more you can hold a point of focus, the more your point of focus can expand to include a whole lot more. And so all of these things are happening at the same time, and you're observing them all. So no reason to get frustrated, even if the additional fields, in visual format and even physical format don't begin presenting. All of this other is happening. But I will tell you, at that 90-minute magic point, it will start happening. The visual field will pop open for you if that was, your focus for doing this. you know, that will happen. The visual field will open. And Anton says when he closes his eyes, he sees what he calls mush. I'm going to suggest you find another word for that, Anton. That ain't mush. That's the most beautiful. It's space, and it's the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing in the world. There's a lot of different ways to see it too, different aspects of it to see. Just incredible, and you know, experiencing that, you know, through your human constraint, your mind body system is extraordinary. You know, you will feel the shifts. You know, you get the tingles, you know, the champagne bubbles, you go into the bliss states, you feel like you're levitating, you know, they're just phenomenal. You may even cognize the fact that you've bilocated and trilocated, and you know, then you attempt to locate those locations, you know, where are you, you know. Often, you know, I'd be like laying there in the bed, but I'd also be up there on the ceiling, and like there may be another point looking in through the window from the outside, you know, and it's like, whoa, this is cool. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna see if I can see what's out there viewing from the outside, you know, and you start to look around, you realize you're in an out of body experience, you know. And so, I mean, it's that fast and that fascinating. There's never a reason to be frustrated. There's always something happening. And the way to get to it is what? Relax and breathe. Relax and breathe. Hold your point of focus. Relax and breathe and hold your point of focus. If you're frustrated, it's because you're not relaxed, you're not breathing, and you're not holding your point of focus. And so simply come back.
Yeah, that's me. I can't hold it. I get impatient. So I've got the sensations and I've got the images and I hold it, but nothing's happening. I get bored. I go back off. No, I get frustrated with myself, to be honest. I need to relax, practice.
So you relax, consciously be aware of the fact that you're breathing. Feel the movement of the breath through the body as you breathe. You keep coming back. Hold the point of focus, and something will begin happening that is more than what was happening before. The experience will keep growing, graduating out into more and more and more and more. And then it's your ability to cognize what's happening in that. Cognizing what's happening in that is no simple feat, because your conscious mind literally is a predominant beta brainwave, and to hold that information in that energy, in that wave, is no easy feat. But you're not doing it alone. The other waves are joining with you and holding it there in your beta brain wave for you. And so it's there, and that assistance is always there, you know. And so just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And then when you have the cognition, you know, even more important to log everything, because you may only have it for minutes, sometimes seconds. Get that there. I would get what I call epiphanies. I mean, just these huge knowing, just these epiphanies of, you know, how reality works, and, you know, certain things. And, you know, it would be gone before I had the third word down, and I'd be like, oh man, and then I'd have to put it in my own words, you know, from there on. But I would still do it. You know, I would just log where, you know, the epiphany is gone, and I'm now, you know, writing this myself, you know. Yeah, but extraordinary. Don't let them just go. Develop those muscles. They're just like any other muscle. The more you use them, the stronger they get. And you have to be willing to start from that point of them being weak. Don't get mad or frustrated. That will shut the whole thing down nice and quick. Ivana?
Yes, I was thinking when you started, because you started putting these things on YouTube, and I discovered that I have a big fear of, or in this reality, in this Ioana reality, I have this big fear of people saying that I'm crazy, or actually family saying that I'm crazy, and then everybody else saying that I'm crazy. And also a fear of if people are saying that I'm crazy, maybe I'm not fit to be a mother. So that's like describing my personal experience, which I know that it has to be described because it's like something that my light guides are pumping into me.
As soon as the thought flow comes, and it's great that you can identify the thought flow, but before you let it get too far, as soon as you get to that point, and does that mean I'm not a good mother? Question, is it true? You ask yourself right there, is it true?
Not to me.
Okay.
No, not to me. But
and who's the only one that matters? Who's the first and fundamental and primary one that matters? You, of course. You're the one having the experience. You're the one holding the fear. That's all you and yours. So that's why you are the only one who matters here in this case. Is it true to you? So always, before you let it get so far, don't let it just keep playing and playing on you. Stop and ask, is it true? I'm asking you.
did you have that when you started?
No. I'm fearless.
Okay.
No. I don't care if I won't say that. I have a very strong dislike of looking stupid. And, I was raised by my father in a house full of boys. And so it was very important to be, masculine and intelligent and all of that. And so, that, but I don't let it play on me. Like Anton was saying earlier, I notice that I'm doing something, and in doing that, I'm manifesting it, and I stop before I actually physically manifest it and alter the energy, alter the thought, come back into myself. Yes, and then continue on. Yeah, and you'll notice in those very old videos, I look absolutely retarded. I didn't know where to look. I was always looking somewhere not, at you guys. I'm talking in ultra slow motion because I actually, during those years, I was going out of body every day. I was not coming into that predominant brainwave ever for a very long time, for years. I was in, deep alpha and somewhat theta states. So, and talking from those states is really hard.
I thought you were adorable and beautiful.
It's really slow. But I'm like a dork, I think that's why a lot of people liked me. I was just a normal person. I, wasn't claiming to know anything. I was just reporting. And that's what you do. You don't claim to know anything. You just report, You can report what your feelings are and how this is affecting you, and that's going to come through. But you're not saying, I was never saying I knew anything. Like, hey, this thing is starting to happen, and I think I need to go tell everybody about it. Yeah. And so you do, yeah. I'm not somebody who lets fear get in my way. As soon as I notice fear's there, I'm going to jump on it.
Well, there is also the thought of, does anybody need to know what I'm experiencing?
That did not come into
in general, I know.
Yeah, it didn't come into the equation with myself. The absolute need to not hold this within my own construct was imminent. This is more energy and information than I can bottle in this body without detriment to this body. And so that was one of the reasons it had to happen. And I had a knowing from day one that this was happening to a large body of other people and that they were having a challenging time with it. I needed, as someone somewhat normal, and appearance that, you know, people can't really tag me. I don't look woo. I don't have tattoos and nose piercings and things that people can, you know, use to be mean to you, you know. And so I knew for this reason, I'm real neutral in my appearance. And for somebody that was somewhat normal in appearance to be saying this, I knew was important. I knew it had a place. I knew it had a reason, you know, for being part of the being. And I wanted to help those people. I wanted them to know they weren't crazy, no matter what anybody else was saying. Because a lot of us are very we express ourselves through our physical appearance. We decorate ourselves with makeup and hair color and tattoos and jewelry and certain types of clothing that are very different from the standard normal mundane person, you know. And we in this visual format are easy for others to attack. You know, our reality system is very known for attacking what looks different than it. Yeah. And so that was a part of, you know, the whole equation too. Because I'm somebody who would come sit in front of you naked, but not somebody who would put on makeup and do my hair. You know what I mean? I'd take everything off and be as neutral as I could, and absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. But I wouldn't adorn myself in ways to do that. So like the way that I express is very different. Yeah. I drop everything, so to speak. Yeah.
Had a big aha moment.
Rather than add, drop. Yeah. But
I just had the aha moment.
You've started making videos. You have a YouTube channel. You're
Yes.
absolutely adorable on there. Do you guys know that Ivana has a YouTube channel? Oh, she has a good YouTube channel too. What's the title?
Shining Mama.
Shining Mama.
Yeah. Did I stop making videos?
and yours weren't anything that you know. They're nice videos.
No, but that's what that's the issue there, because what I want to say is not like acceptable in the mainstream, and also I had just a big aha moment, because that's probably why I have these physical problems at the moment.
Okay, so let's get clear. In making the videos that you would want to make, do you think it's the mainstream who you would be talking to? Who are you making the videos for? No, so that doesn't even matter, right? Who would you be talking to? Who would you be making the videos for?
People who have the same experiences, or? Well, that's the thing, because I have this business, and the things that I want to say are not related to the audience that I spoke to until now. And people that know me, including my parents, are going to see these videos, and I'm like, what?
So I never was anybody other than myself with anybody, including my family, ever. I've never pretended to be anybody other than who I am. And if they didn't want to be around or, involved with who I really am, then I was okay with that. I was willing to not fight that. So I didn't have that to begin. I didn't create that experience for myself. It may exist to some degree with what I do professionally. So like if I'm posting a lot of things like ET Contact on my Facebook group, a lot of people that look for care staff want to know if you have a Facebook page, and they'll go there to sort of see who you are. Yeah, but I don't allow this to dominate me or change me in any way.
Yeah.
I may for
I think that's one of my
put more
challenges.
personal photos up there than I usually do. I may focus for a minute more on my, filming nature. And this is me too. All of this is related. We have to realize that the sky and the earth are connected. It's not like people who have their heads in the stars are ungrounded. They're not. The sky and the stars are connected with the earth, and bringing these two together is an important part of our work. And we ourselves have to know that this is not woo. This is not unnatural or not normal. We ourselves have to know this. This is natural as it gets. This is putting our whole selves and the whole picture back together again. Yeah.
In the same time, I think that's the challenge for many of us. And I think because it's my challenge already 4 years, and I started writing a blog about it just 2 days ago, and I didn't finish it because it's like it's like I take the words out with and it's interesting because I was always writing, and this is not something that I do easily. It's not something that I write easily or I talk about it easily. So I think I'm not the only one that has this experience of being very challenged in this part of expressing your experience the way it is and not giving a damn. Sorry about that.
You know what my group did when I very first started? Because to say that I sucked at communication is a strong understatement. I was so much of a hermit and had very strong judgments. I called it the people thing, just because people created drama and people attacked, and people were, people. And yeah, I never wanted to be a part of all of that. And I did have a judgment against it. And I would rather just, no, I'm just going to hermit things out. No, you be over there, I'll be here. And so I didn't talk to people, and I didn't write, and I certainly didn't orate on video for the populace. And so what my group did is they came out, and the first thing they told me was that I was a, quote, communications specialist. And if you pay attention, you'll find that your group is telling you something too that like makes your mind go. Never laughed so hard in my life. And this is when I'm talking on the talk boards. These were the yoga boards, back then. And I was studying with my culmination teacher, the one that led into my awakening. And yeah, and I noted that was a work, talking with people, and that's where I started talking with people. And it was work. It was hard. I was not understood or agreed with, or in a space that other people could sort of grasp onto. It was, a very different space than what most others hold. And so I had to learn how to engage with them, and engage with them in a way that wasn't confronting and that wasn't coarse. I have a habit of, I'm very direct, you know, and a lot of people will experience this as an attack itself. It's not, there's no judgment in it at all. It's just very direct. And so I had to learn how to soften things up a bit, you know, not just make points, but, you know, have some elaboration and some consideration for etiquette, you know, in there. And yeah, that was all a learning process for me. And in the process of that, I realized it was too hard to say on my own. And I began to realize that there was this thing I was connecting with back here, that if I could let it through to assist me, it really came through differently. And that's how I began to channel, you know, at the very beginning stages of what you could call channeling. Yeah, and so things like that will happen within for you too. You just have to begin. You have to be willing to experience the challenging bits, you know, the bits that you still need to uh, work out. You know, that's work that we need to do on ourselves, and we can't leave that out. That's going to be right there when we start. But if you go back into my videos, you'll see that I have approximately 3 what we might consider negative comments on over 200 videos. Only 3 negative comments. For the longest time. Some more may come in now, you know, because the more people that know the videos are there, the more you know, get the people that are just simply there to, you know, what do they call them? There's a word for it.
Trolls.
Trolls. Yes. You know, troll the different videos.
It's an insult to the trolls, maybe.
Who knows? But yeah, you just, again, when you can hold your own focus, it doesn't ding you so much when other people express their point of focus. You can just see how it's possible to have that point of focus. You know, if I was someone who was, you know, in this kind of constraint around these sort of people and having these sort of thoughts, yeah, that's what I would say too. Yeah. And you just realize that that is a portion of you over there in that constraint, you know, expressing what it's like to be there. They're not saying anything about you. They're saying everything about who they are and where they are in their experience. And that's something that you know when you can hold your point of focus. Not that that's always easy to do, and not that I'm brilliant at that myself. I do have a little bit more of a handle on it than a lot of people, because I practiced for so long now that, you know, it's somewhat established. But nobody likes it. Nobody loves it when that happens. You know, maybe you're just having a down day yourself, and all of a sudden that's, you know, happening, and you're like, get out of here.
Yeah, I think that with me is also because I had so many of these experiences growing up, and it's like a big part of the personality that I experience every day is like afraid of that. Because of
Experience
that.
your own thoughts, not other people's. Go in there and find out what your own thought really is. And start being able to distinguish your thoughts from thoughts you picked up from others. Your energy from energies you picked up from others. And then, you know, clean house.
Sorry, I'm eating. It's for us, it's beyond dinner time.
Eat away, my friend. Bon appetit. Okay, what else? Are we complete? What time is it? We have a few minutes more if there's anything anybody wants to discuss. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and I'll head over to the forum boards and I'll get our experiment thread started and our practice log started. And if we can get there each day to connect with each other's energy and all of that, we'll meet back here again next Wednesday and run the experiment. Anton, are you saying something? Your microphone.
I'm just looking over your topics about micro sleeps and sleep habits.
Yeah, we should definitely go into the sleep patterns and habits at some point. Yeah, that would be a fun talk.
And that's kind of what.
But we need to be practicing first.
Well, I messed up my practice that I don't have such regular sleep times. I don't have a job I have to get up at time X to get up. So I'm doing more random, staying up too late sometimes, and going to bed too early or going to bed too late. So my rhythm is just way off. And that's kind of impacting my practice of sleeping. Again, it's easier to record when you have a rhythm going, and you're getting up the same time every day and you do the same routine. You're
regardless of whether you're going to bed early or late, there's a period that's overlapped within them. Like sometimes I go to bed if I'm working on the videos and stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'm always in bed by 9. If I'm working in bed. With the computer up on a pillow on my lap, you know what I mean? And so I'm already, the lights are out, they're not on, I'm in a horizontal position. I'm acclimating to going into the night, even though I'm still up. And so, always have that wind down time, I would suggest, Anton. Always have that wind down time, before you're actually going to now go in for sleep, and have a plan for your sleep. I'm going in here consciously. Ask for the guides to come in that will help you go in consciously, and at least for a period of time, be conscious as you're going into your sleep, even if that's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes only. Let there be that time where you're consciously going in, and have the focus to hold the dream content, to hold critical dream content. Program yourself when you're in an important concept to say the word consciously in your mind, so that you'll get in a habit of, when you're in there, like I've been given a lot of information this past week on hair. And so this keeps coming up, and I will consciously say the word hair in my mind, telepathically in my mind. I'll lock it in. I'll even see myself writing the word hair, as though I'm writing it down on a piece of paper. And that has a very strong effect. That was something I was taught when I first started Go Out of Body. Stop at the etheric, write everything down, and then shift into my physical space room. And so that's something that I do even now. So I'll say the word hair, I'll see myself writing the word hair as, everything's still playing there, and then I'll let myself just fall in there. But now I've programmed that so that when I wake up into physical space in the morning, it's there, hair, and every single one that I did will still be there. Yeah, so start doing things that allow you to have the data when you come back into beta in the morning. And the more the beta brainwave is included, when you're doing these training programs in the night, the more they'll be there in beta when you get up. So you let yourself consciously realize you're given information on hair again. Yeah. Say the word hair, see yourself writing down the word hair. Yeah. And you're in my Casey state of awareness, I do this. Yeah. And in your on-tone state of awareness, you'll do what you do. But start devising something for yourself. Don't just let things go unchecked.
I was wondering what you were getting at with micro sleeps too, because I have something. I did a video way back. I don't have that up anymore, but on what I call a catatonic moment. You know, where I just allow myself to just freeze sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just freeze what I'm doing and just be quiet. You know, and just have a catatonic moment. I was kind of wondering if that's the same thing you were doing with the micro sleeps, or that's a different type of thing. It's not really sleeping when I do that, so I would say it is different. When I have my catatonic moment, I'm quite aware. I'm just quiet. I'm still, but I'm aware.
What people call the micro sleeps nowadays, that's not a concept that I use for myself. I just periodically through the day stop what I'm doing on purpose, you know, and I take a deep full breath, or I just let myself really feel what it is I'm doing. You know, I bring in additional consciousness to have the experience of what I'm doing. I do that consciously and I do it on purpose. And so I don't know what word I would use for that myself. That's what I do, but that's akin to what people are calling micro sleeps. You just let yourself for a minute stop what you're doing. You might, you know, close your eyes, and a micro sleep can be, you know, anywhere from a minute to 10 minutes, something like this.
You know, my catatonic moments can be mere seconds.
Yeah.
But it's still neat because you touch that silence, you know, just for a just pop out, you know, you're in the void for just a second, you know. And
yeah, it just gets you out of the beta brainwave, that predominant beta wave. It gets you out of there for a minute. And if you do that enough times through the day, and you can hold conscious awareness, you know, in the experience of doing that, you know, not like go all the way away and come back, but literally, you know, hold that predominant beta structure in a predominant theta structure.
I just sort of just go quiet. I mean,
You call them daydreams. Yeah.
This isn't really a daydream, because daydream's what happens when I try to stay in my catatonic moment too long. You know, I'll start thinking and daydreaming.
Okay, but so let me just say this to you.
I'm just quiet. I mean, I'm not thinking, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything. I'm just quiet. You know,
right. But if you are in your conscious state of awareness and you're aware of the fact that you're having a dream or a daydream, you know, something is happening that's not happening in the physical space, you are holding that predominant beta wave in a predominant theta wave. That is what you are doing. That's the fundamental of that experience. And yes, that could be called a daydream if you only go so far into the experience. If you go deeper into the experience, you know, that could be called an out-of-body experience. Or you know, even a mental projection.
The daydream, what interrupts my quietude, you know, I kind of wander out of quietude and into a daydream. That's when that's when the one practice is stopped pretty much. You know, I'm into something else, or I wake up. I mean, or but
yeah. You know, I would suggest to you, Anton, to write out your experience of it and learn how to explain and express it in some detail. I would really like to hear that from you.
I have a video on it, but I should try to write it out differently too.
Write it out first and see as much of it as you can. See even in sort of unfolding stages, you know, and put it all together so that you're seeing what's happening clearer in your own awareness and from your own perspective. I would love to hear that from you. If you would do it on the board, that would be even better. You could even start and, you know, this is what I'm seeing right now. And, you know, the next time you're seeing another chunk of it, you know, come in with another post and, you know, put it together with that additional chunk and watch it unfold. Because you have a lot to tell us.
For me, I can enjoy the pure piece of it. And then, you know, eventually the mind will start jibber jabbing, you know, and that can go into at that point, I can go into a daydream or I can go back to awareness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure. Oh, somebody wants attention.
You should draft this out for us. You should also keep a log of the daydreams that you have, because this is going to be guidance, you know, generally. You know, help you see something that you're trying to see. And you may not even know you're trying to see it, but in logging the experience, you can glean what it was you were asking that was being answered in these daydreams.
That may be a good point, because they seem to come in, you know, clusters like that where, you know, maybe a week or two I'll have a bunch and maybe a month I won't have any, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it is something that I'm working on subconsciously and trying to bubble through.
It's a communication, yeah. And so, yeah, writing out what all it is will help you get more interested and excited about it. And we don't have to wait for these things to happen. We can open to them. We can induce them. They're always happening. They're just always happening outside of our standard state of awareness. And what we're beginning to allow is for them to happen within our conscious state of awareness, so that we're aware of this communication that's happening, you know, on deeper levels with us. Yeah, we're operating in many fields all at once. We're never just here. Meaning here in physical space. Not here as in the big here and everywhere. I want to see you all start to get good and develop your own vocal channels. You see how this is what this is almost all about. Not just establishing the connection and the flow, but letting the flow through you out to the populace. You know, not stopping everything short at yourself anymore. Giving it. Okay, good. I'm excited. We're doing an experiment. I'm never happier than when I'm doing a consciousness experiment. And showing everybody how this stuff works. You know, we need more examples, more grounded, you know, earth experiments showing people how this stuff really works. Yeah, and that it does work, because that's what encourages people to do it more, when they see that, wow, that they did that, it worked. Yeah, that does have an effect. That does affect the reality, and that's what we're here to do. Affect the reality in a way that equates to growth. Such exciting times.
I was going to ask, has the rule set here been changed or laxed? Is that what's happened?
The rule set in 3D has not been changed. However, the rule set has always been much larger than what people have thought. You know, there is a spectrum growth in 3D. It's a structure of 7, and you graduate through each of the spectrums in order to graduate. Okay, most people are stuck in the base spectrums still. They're not achieving, you know, the indigo and violet spectrum of what's possible even in 3D. But once you do, you notice that you begin to affect the reality. You affect more people from those spectrums 1 and 2 into 4, 5, 6, and 7. You know, you help them grow. Yes. And at a certain point, you exceed the paradigm. You exceed that whole spectrum. That's what's called graduation. You know, you go through the 3rd grade, and when you're going through the 3rd grade, you're learning this and this and this and this. And as soon as you've learned everything at the 3rd grade level, you graduate. Does graduating affect the 3D field? No. You used that to graduate from it. Yeah, once you learn everything that there is to learn there, then you graduate. That's a natural, normal part of evolution and involution, however you want to see that.
Doesn't it though affect the 3 grade?
No,
3rd grade?
3rd grade will always be the 3rd grade. The program in the 3rd grade will always be the program in the 3rd grade. But what you affect is the others in that grade. So you can sort of suck at being a 3rd grader, or you can be an exceptional 3rd grader. You know, somebody who sucks at the 3rd grade is somebody who's just not growing. They're have a you know, mathematics on the curriculum, and they're just not learning how to add and subtract. No matter how many times they're in the grade, they keep having to repeat the grade because they just can't quite get the addition and subtraction down. You know, forget moving on to multiplication and division and fractions and powers. You know, they're still stuck on addition and subtraction. You know.
But in that way, I cannot really say that I'm very good at this 3D stuff. So that's kind of scary, scary thought that I'm not really good at this 3D stuff. So is that if you're not good at it in the way that 3D is seen, if you're not good at it, then you cannot graduate, or you can see beyond it and then you graduate?
Well, when we get into the 3rd dimension, into the 3rd grade, this does not take away our power. We are at no point ever disconnected from the portion of ourself that is outside of that 3rd grade spectrum. It's still there. And we either let it in or we don't. You know, at first, when we go into the 3rd dimension, we do that in order to have an experience, quote, on our own. And so we do that for a period of time. And through that, doing it on our own, we learn that, oh, well, you know, this sometimes hurts, you know, this sometimes goes into, you know, but we're learning. You know, the soul, that which is actually there in it, is learning. And so, but the portion that is actually in itself, an individuality there, Casey, Joanna, James, Anton, the experience it is having of its own portion of itself there is doing what it is. And so after a while of being there, it sees that, oh, this is a spectrum where I'm, quote, doing things on my own by myself. But it doesn't mean that there's, in order to know that, you have to know that there's a portion of you that's out beyond it. And so at a certain point, you begin to realize, oh, I can connect with this part that's outside of it to have a greater experience of what's in here. And so getting good at being a 3rd grader is coming to that awareness and then allowing it to take place in order to graduate through the paradigm itself. Some people would disagree. Actually, a lot of people would disagree with me on that matter.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept to just explore.
It's a huge topic. That would be a huge topic.
Yes, and also to explore what being good at as a third grader is actually. What does it mean that you're good at this reality or not?
Well, being good is growing and graduating. Being not good would be coming into the third grade repeatedly, time after time after time after time, never catching on to anything more, never growing past the point that you grew prior, and never graduating. So it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the specifics of what you're doing with the life or the experiences you're bringing about, because the soul is learning from it all. But from, again, the portion that's here of the soul that's here in 3D, the person or personality point, again, Ioana, Casey, James, Anton, the experience it is having of itself is generally not pleasant when it's stuck, and much more pleasant when it is not stuck. So not pleasant when it is more and more caged, more pleasant when it is more and more freed. And so, you could see it along that line, it being sucky, the more and more caged I get myself. And again, more and more nice, the more uncaged I get myself.
Yeah, this is something that I would like to explore more.